Over the course of the past 2.5 decades, Pixar has reinvented the way we view animated films. The studio is responsible for some of the most rewarding and exceptionally made stories in movie history. Believe it or not, The Incredibles 2 marks the 20th feature-length film from Pixar. In celebration of their latest release, we decided to look at what the critics thought of each one of those 20 films. Before we dive into the rankings, make sure you're subscribed to GameSpot Universe. Right now on the channel, you can check out our video review and spoiler talk on Pixar's latest triumph, The Incredibles 2.
Hey, little baby, where are your...
Cars 2 was released in 2011 and is the only Pixar film to have received mixed reviews by critics. In the film, Lightning McQueen returns with some friends from the first movie to compete in the World Grand Prix in Japan and Europe. Unfortunately, the movie passed the finish line with a 57. Cars 3 came out in 2017, and while it made a bunch of money and was an improvement over Cars 2, it's not considered one of Pixar's best because it only received, quote, generally positive reviews. In case you haven't noticed, generally positive is not great in Pixar's world. Again, McQueen, along with other Piston Cup winners, feel displaced by racing's new superstar, Jackson Storm, voiced by Armie Hammer.
You have no idea what a pleasure it is for me to finally beat you.
Did you say meet or beat?
I think you heard me.
Released in 2013, Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters, Inc., which follows protagonists Mike and Sully during their college years. Sure, it did well at the box office, becoming the 12th highest-grossing animated film of all time, but it only got fairly good reviews, which again, doesn't really compare to many of Pixar's other films. It scored a 65. The Good Dinosaur came out in 2015 and is set in a world where dinosaurs never went extinct. It follows the story of a human boy and a dinosaur who become friends while trying to traverse the landscape together.
Come here, Spot, come here! Well, ain't you just the cutest thing?
It became Pixar's lowest grossing film ever, earning a resounding meh from audiences for what many consider to be a bland and unimaginative story. Pro tip, if you like dinosaurs, skip this one and watch The Land Before Time instead. 2012's Brave was Pixar's first feature-length film with a female director. The strong-willed teenage princess Merida makes waves in her kingdom in the Scottish Highlands when she decides she would rather not marry some random guy for political purposes. The film won Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, and the BAFTA Awards. Unfortunately, many moviegoers felt misled by the trailers, which didn't give viewers a clear description of the movie. Cars was Pixar's last independently produced movie and was released in 2006. It features some high-profile actors like Owen Wilson and Michael Keaton. Lightning McQueen has an inflated ego but learns how to be a bit more considerate when he gets lost in the small town of Radiator Springs.
Where am I?
You're in Radiator Springs, the cutest little town in Carburetor County.
Cars was nominated for Best Animated Feature at the Academy Awards and won Best Animated Feature Film at the Golden Globes. It is easily the best film out of the Cars trilogy. Finding Dory was released in 2016 and focuses on everyone's favorite amnesiac, Dory. When Dory gets lost looking for her original home and ends up on the California coast, her best friends Marlin and Nemo set off on an adventure to find her. Despite its relatively low ranking, the movie set a few box office records, including highest-grossing animated film in North America. Sure, the film was enjoyable, but it felt a little too close to the story of the first movie. Let's be honest, how many times can these fish get lost?
Can you help me? Not good.
A Bug's Life is one of Pixar's first films, released in 1998, only a few years after Toy Story. And it did pretty well in the box office. The story follows a colony of ants defending itself against the evil grasshoppers along with the help of a few circus bugs. The debate still continues as to whether it's better than ants. It is better. Monsters, Inc. came out in 2001 when we were introduced to best friends Sully and Mike. The monsters work at a company where their job is to scare small children into screaming, so that they can collect the screams and turn them into power. When the pair meet a child who inspires their sense of compassion, they begin to have a difficult time staying emotionally detached from their work. The film received excellent reviews from critics and did very well in the box office, scoring a 78. Now, at the time of this taping, Incredibles 2 comes in at number 11. It was just released, but so far people are loving it. It takes place exactly where the first Incredibles left off and follows the Parr family as Mother Helen, aka Elastigirl's, career is taking off, while Mr. Incredible stays home with the kids. The family deals with a brand new villain, as well as the continually evolving powers of youngest son Jack Jack. Coco was released in 2017 and follows the story of Miguel. a young boy who accidentally travels to the land of the dead, where he has to find his great-grandfather in order to return to the land of the living and pursue his dream of becoming a musician.
I play my guitar. The rest of the world may follow the rules, but I must follow my heart.
The film was highly praised and raked in a ton of awards, including Best Animated Feature, or the equivalent of that, from 6 different sources including the Academy Awards, where it also won Best Original Song. The film received enthusiastic reviews for its celebration of Mexican culture. Toy Story 2 was released in 1999, and even though it isn't ranked as high as the third movie or the original, many critics were big fans. There were some who even thought it surpassed the original. The sequel follows Woody, who is taken captive by a toy collector and being tempted by a chance at fame and immortality as Woody's best friends Buzz Lightyear and the other toy pals set off to rescue him. Up might have one of the most emotional first 10 minutes of any film, let alone one from Pixar. It tells the story of a lonely old man whose wife never got the chance to have a baby and died before being able to satisfy her adventurous spirit. By attaching thousands of balloons to the roof of the house they once shared, widower Carl Fredricksen sets off to fulfill he and his wife's dream of traveling to see the biggest waterfall in the world, unwittingly taking an annoying but lovable wilderness explorer with him.
Please let me in.
No.
The movie received 5 Academy Award nominations and was the second of only 3 animated films to be nominated for Best Picture. Toy Story 3 was released in 2010 and follows the fate of the toys when their human bestie Andy is leaving for college, and his mom accidentally puts them out on the curb. Feeling dejected, the toys escape and are donated to a daycare where they meet new toy friends, while Woody tries and fails to convince the toys that throwing them away was a mistake. It was the second Pixar film to receive the Academy Award nomination for Best Picture. It was also the highest-grossing film of 2010 worldwide and the 3rd highest-grossing animated film of all time, clearing over $1 billion. The original Finding Nemo follows Clownfish Nemo as he finds himself captured by a scuba-diving Australian dentist while journeying into the sea for adventure. His father Marlin looks far and wide for his son, encountering fun characters like Dory and conquering his fear of the unknown. Finding Nemo was hugely successful, winning Best Animated Feature and Best Original Screenplay at the Academy Awards, as well as being named the 10th best animated film ever by the American Film Institute. It was the highest-grossing G-rated film ever until Toy Story 3, and remains the highest-selling DVD of all time. The first Incredibles, released in 2004, was incredibly popular, earning box office success as well as critical acclaim. The superhero family tried to suppress their powers and instinct in an attempt for a normal life after a wave of backlash against superheroes hits newspapers. But Bob, aka Mr. Incredible, is tempted to get back into the game by an evil corporation run by a power-hungry genius. It earned 2 Academy Awards and the Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation. Released in 2015, Inside Out is one of the most imaginative stories from Pixar. It's set inside the mind of a young girl named Riley. Her emotions are personified with names like joy, anger, and so on.
No dessert? Oh, sure. We'll eat our dinner right after you eat this.
The movie takes on some serious topics in regards to emotional health as the characters scramble to help Riley adjust to moving in San Francisco. The film was very well received and won accolades from 6 different sources, including the Golden Globe Award for Best Animated Feature. WALL-E is set in a semi-apocalyptic futuristic world where human pollution has rendered the Earth uninhabitable, and unhealthy habits have made the majority of people overweight to the point where they're incapable of even walking. Humankind now survives on massive ships traveling through space. The AI pilot of the ship would have them stay forever, whereas trash compactor robot WALL-E and his friend Eve take a growing plant as a sign that Earth has become habitable again. WALL-E was massively successful in the box office and won all kinds of awards, including the Hugo Award for Best Long-Form Presentation. It was also voted one of the best 100 films of the 21st century, and it was at the top of Time's list for the best films of the decade. 1995's Toy Story was Pixar's very first feature-length film and is still considered one of their best. It centers around a group of toys who pretend to be inanimate when humans are around, but have a life of their own when the humans leave. When a new astronaut toy named Buzz Lightyear joins the mix, Cowboy Woody becomes a bit jealous, which isn't helped by Lightyear's attitude. The two eventually develop a friendship in the midst of some misadventures during the family's move into a new house. Toy Story was nominated for 3 Academy Awards and won the Special Achievement Award. It was also entered into the National Film Registry for its cultural significance. Ratatouille is Metacritic's top-reviewed Pixar film to date, but given the popularity of all the other Pixar films, surely fans would have something to say about that. The film is set in France and follows Remy, a personified rat who is an outcast in even his own community. Remy loves cooking more than anything else, but because he's a rat, people don't generally want him near their kitchens. So he takes a risk to prove himself as a talented chef with the help of his struggling human chef friend, Alfredo Linguini. Ratatouille won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature and was voted one of the 100 best films of the 21st century. It scored a Pixar high of 96 on Metacritic. Now guys, that's just what the critics thought, but let us know what you think is Pixar's best film in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out our video review and spoiler talk on The Incredibles 2 right now. We'll see you next time.